my goodness, what the heck? Wow. See, this is one of those moments. How did the animator make this pose out of this rig? How are they doing this? Hey there. I'm Janice Dublin, a character animator, and this is Animation Admiration, a deep dive show that admires animation. In this video, I'm going to discuss the anime nobody called Berserker from Kingdom Hearts. As a being who is supposed to be the empty, leftover shell of a person, Berserker is surprisingly strong, bulky, and abnormally tall. It may lack a heart, but it does not lack strength. There is certainly more to see with this nobody, so let's take a look together. Just a reminder, if you do enjoy this content, please don't forget to give the video a like. It really helps me out. Let's start with the idle animation. I have discussed this a little already in the form of a short, so we'll review that first. It uses its Berserk style of fighting to unleash powerful attacks without regard for its well-being. The Berserker is controlled by a cursed hammer. The animator displays this relationship perfectly with its idle animation. The hammer is fully upright while Berserker is hanging on and flopped to the side, looking unaware. It's got a massive lean forwards and would likely fall down if the hammer wasn't holding its weight. All the movement here originates from the hammer. When the handle goes back and pushes the hand, we get this perfect wave of cause and effect through the body, ending with the head rolling around. The body acts like a rag doll, not putting forth any strength at all. Now I definitely need to gush about the design some more. I really love the posing going on here. If you look at it from the back, look how sharply the animator's thrown that head down. Like it's just completely, like the Berserker might as well be asleep. It's just flopping. And then see these lines here, making a nice little A shape. And even from the front you can see it's just making a really nice shape. And then for the design itself, I noticed like these feet and the arms are so bulky, and it makes the character look heavy. It makes it seem like the character would have trouble walking because these look like giant weights. It looks like it would drag it down whenever it moves. So I'm excited to actually pick apart its walk cycle, if it even walks at all. I actually don't remember if it walks. We'll have to see. I'm gonna look out for like the weight distribution, and also look at these tiny little toes. They're almost non-existent. It might as well not have any toes. It's just, that's really kind of cute. And that also makes me wonder how it's going to walk, because we can see, so here's the heel back here, then the knee up here. It doesn't have very much room to bend, also because of its design, because it keeps this big bulky block, but to keep the shape, it's not actually jutting out that far, which tells me that it probably doesn't walk a lot. It's also nice that it has one hand on the ground. Just I can't, everything about this pose, I just really like it. Like, not only the head is going like straight down, it's just flopping, but the entire body is going so far down that the hand is hitting the ground, and it's using that hand as like another focal point to lean on. And then just like the back is going like all the way up here. I just really like this. But then the hammer itself is like straight up and down. The hammer is not leaning. It kind of reinforces the idea that it's the one in control. It can keep itself upright, and it can like pull the Berserker any way that it wants to. Let's look at the move that it does when it enters. So it should be an attack called Hammer Draw. Ooh, okay, hold on. When it appears, it looks like it's hunching over. And then it stretches, so it's not always bending over and falling to the ground. And then the hammer, when it goes up into the hand, you see its feet, the legs here, they're like big bulky anchors. So it goes up into the hand. This is going back. It starts to lean its torso back. Oh wow. What an interesting pose. How is it not falling down? So the legs are kind of bending back. And there's not a lot of bend to these legs. The knee joint would kind of be, I guess, on top. So this part would probably just curve, but it wouldn't bend, which is why when it's scooting back like this, the legs are just curling, but they're not like bending like legs. But it's like being pushed back, and its hand is not exactly on the floor. But it just got hit with so much force from this hammer. It didn't actually fall, which is cool. It could be that the hammer is anchoring it too. Yeah, when the hammer comes in, there's this light going on. I think that's the hammer steadying itself, or it's establishing its place in the Berserker's hand. That might be what's causing it to catch the Berserker before it falls down, which is cool. From this angle, it kind of looks a little bit more like Berserker's in control, because you can kind of see the hand turning a little bit while the other hand is staying still. And then it grips the thing. And then you can see it hovering up here, which the Berserker can then hang on to, and then it won't fall down. And see, now I'm starting to think the hammer is the Berserker's source of power, right? It's the weapon, and it's the thing that the Berserker relies on to get its strength. But is the hammer a friend or a foe? Because I wouldn't think it would be a relationship like the lance soldier, for instance, where the lance and the soldier hate each other. Go watch that short, that's a really good one. I just wonder, when is Berserker in charge and when is it not? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if there's any more clues later. Okay, this next attack is called Spin Kick. Let's take a lookie. Okay, this is another one where it's dragged around pretty blatantly. Right off the bat, the hammer is pulling it. The feet are planted. Its whole body is pushing this way, but in a way that's like it's falling down. Wow, okay. This is a good example of the animation principle called overlapping action. This is when things drag behind other things. The hammer's going this way, and then suddenly it changes directions, but the Berserker's still going this way. See? So the body continues out this way while the hammer's going this way, and then the Berserker follows behind it. So it's literally dragging it through every motion that it does. So going around, then this way, and then it goes back, then it goes back over. It's completely a ragdoll. So you see the actions are overlapping. Overlap, overlap, overlap. So the next attack is called Jump Attack. Oh boy, wow, okay. It's compressing into the ground. A good example of squash and stretch. So before it does an action, it's gonna go down. Squishes up real small. And then it springs forward, stretches out real big. You see how the poses start out really close together down here, and then suddenly it pops up to the next one. That's how you change the speeds. So if you want something to go really slow, put the poses all next to each other, very, very close together. If you want something to go fast, you change the spacing to be a lot bigger. When it goes up, it even pops to this twisting pose, which is interesting. It's just like, let me do a little twirl when I get up here. So here when it comes down, we can see the head is engaged. The head isn't flopping over, which is interesting. It's not completely ragdolling right now. It just lambs down immediately. The difference between these two poses is so different. It's like super speed hits the ground. There's some interesting stretching going on here too. The hand is like elongated. And look at the foot. The foot is like super stretched out too. That helps exaggerate the pose here. Hits the ground really fast. And then when it spins around, it's got a lot of momentum. It's got a lot of speed. So elongating these out, it helps the drag. Oh, and you see that kind of stretching is already happening here. Because again, the Berserker is very bulky. It's got a large form, so it's not as elegant looking when it squashes and stretches. So like here, the kind of like distortion that's on the feet, it's just kind of funny. Like if it was Dancer or if it was like the Sorcerer who's like super thin and flowy, stretching it out and like turning it into a pancake, it looks fine. But with Berserker, it's just a little bit different. Aha, my suspicions were correct. It does not walk. It drags itself around. See? I didn't remember it walking before when I played Kingdom Hearts. I was like, yeah, it definitely doesn't walk. I don't know how it could with legs like that. It's literally like, it's just scooting around as if it's wearing skates. A really interesting movement to have these be the joints and then this giant bulk right here that you have to drag around. It looks like the farthest it'll bend is like this. Yeah, so there's like no need to actually bend this bulky part, which is cool. It looks like the hammer itself is sliding. You know what? When Sora uses the hammer, Sora slides along the ground too. Hold on, let me see. Okay, this one is kind of funny. It's somersaulting over. See, actually using its bulk to its advantage. I like this attack. This one and the one where it was spinning around the hammer point. See, so it's using the strength of the hammer as well as the bulk of its own body. It just looks so funny. Best pose of the day goes to that one. Man, I really like the way it's using its giant legs as the anchor. It just looks really fun. It's like the top of the body is just flopping around and then the legs are just completely like a block. Oh, I like this. This is really fun. This is one of the more ragdoll-y ones. So it goes back. Once it hits the stop here, the head falls forward. Like the animators taking like just this little bit of time here, this bit of hang time, just to show you it is like not in control right now. You gain the speed, hammer hits the ground. That's when it does the somersault. Nice. Okay, now for the attack we all hate, the giant hammer dance. Oh my goodness, what the heck? Wow. See, this is one of those moments when I look at the Nobody's animations and I'm like, how in the heck did the animator make this pose out of this rig? How are they doing this? That's insanity. Look at this. What? It turns around. They go back to normal. And then the hammer gets bigger. Even the hand gets smaller. It gets smaller and then it disappears because it's so small. That's interesting. The proportion of the torso to the legs are now very different. I'm not sure why. See, this just looks normal but smaller. The lower body is just really stretched out and flattened. You can see the Berserker dragging behind again. So when the hammer goes up, Berserker goes up, then the hammer is going back down and changing directions. Now the Berserker, see, it's still going up, and then it goes down. So it's like slowly following behind, it's dragging behind. And you can see some hang time on the hands. It goes up. Then it falls out as it goes down. Now it's actually on the ground. It's holding onto the hammer as if it is in control now. As if it's the one just swinging at. Dude. You can see the exaggeration here. Exaggeration adds caution, stretch, and anticipation. So it's going forward and bulking up before going back and up. So it has nice flow. It's like down, then up. It looks like a little like action figure that with a giant sword. I just want to take a little look at the way Sora acts when he's using the hammer. Because he gets this red aura on his head, which is the Berserker sort of signature. Because I remember in Final Fantasy VIII, when you use the Berserker ability, your head glows red and you can like only attack. You can't do anything else. When it's your turn, you have to attack. You trade control for strength. That's like the Berserker's whole thing within Final Fantasy. So it's interesting to see Sora have that red, but the Berserker itself doesn't have the red, which is interesting. He's skating around just like the Berserker does. The hammer also skates, like I was saying before. And even when he lets go, it's still red. I let go here before doing the full reaction, but he's still like possessed. That's kind of creepy. But he still has control over himself. So I did wonder, because when Sora grabs the hammer, he actually becomes invincible when he uses it. So I wondered if Berserker becomes invincible at any point. And from what I could see, it does not. So it's still vulnerable no matter what it's doing, but the hammer itself can parry. So you see here, it's getting hurt, but then it's parrying every single attack. So it might be in this attack form when Berserker's the strongest. The attacks here are just so relentless. Like it feels like this is its most powerful. That slam down, it's huge. Super distorted. It almost looks like the Berserker gets even smaller. Like it's trading its entire self for the hammer to get bigger in its place. It just pops right back to normal. That's a lot of fun. I like that. Hold on. The way it falls here. So it just got staggered, right? Being thrown against the wall. When it hits the ground, it starts rolling. Aww. That is genuinely comical. That's like so cute. So it just kind of flips over, but then the feet hit right back on the ground really fast. And it slowly comes up and just stands there. I don't know why this is so funny. It's just standing there. I don't know. You know what? I think it might be just, it's bulky in just such a way that it looks kind of like chubby and cute. The proportions are kind of short. Looks like a chubby little guy. You love that so much. I'm sorry. The last big thing I'm curious about is the Berserker's relation to the members of Organization 13. As I've talked about in previous videos, connections can be made between the animation of the members and of the lesser nobodies they control. Berserker is the minion of Saix, so let's see if there are any similarities. Okay, I'm actually pretty excited to see the connections in this one, because we know that he trades control for power, but Saix is a lot more in control than the Berserker is. I don't remember Saix ragdolling at all. So it'll be interesting to see the difference in the level of control. And then his weapon itself is it's a lot smaller than he is. The Berserker's hammer is about as tall as it is. So already we can see the difference. Because it's not as big, he'll have more control over it just automatically. So Saix makes a big show out of receiving the Berserker power, whereas the Berserker nobody is like, you can't really tell when it's being controlled and when it's in control. Maybe the Berserker is always in Berserk mode? Yeah, Saix is very agile. He's even throwing the hammer. And then here it looks like the reaction command for Sora is the exact same. And he's holding it the same too, even though it's smaller. He's making those sort of shockwaves that the Berserker made when it did the big hammer slam. It's got that blue aura. Yeah, you know what? This attack right here, or just that relentless sort of slam. Yeah, and that wide swing, that looks kind of like what Saix was doing. So Saix is definitely using the hammer more like a sword. He's not like using his own body weight. It's just a sword. You can see the hammer here. When he goes into Berserk mode, the hammer gets bigger and spikier, but not actually that much bigger. Like, he still uses it as a sword. It's just a bit heavier. Yeah, the proportions make a really big difference between Saix and the Berserker. Like, it changes the entire dynamic of how they fight, the proportions of them versus their weapon. Like, he's not being dragged around by it. He's not using his body weight with it. He doesn't hold it in front of him like Berserker does. The hammer doesn't skate on the ground. There's actually a lot of differences. And that's the thing, you know. I keep going into these videos hoping to see similarities between the lesser nobodies and the organization, but all I ever see are differences. It's like the main concept of each pair is the same. Like Berserker ability. They operate on the same idea, but the execution of their concept is almost completely different. And I do actually end up really liking it that way. What do you guys think? Would you have wanted them to be more similar in their animations, or do you like their more loose connection? Berserker is a very interesting nobody. Big, bulky, kind of cute, kind of lumbering. The way it uses its proportions and its weight is very cool. And that is enough admiration for now. Thanks for watching. Please let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. Subscribe if you want to keep up to date with this series, leave a like if you enjoyed, and share the video if you think others will enjoy it too. And I will see you next time.